Peace, 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 peace. It's a Tauntonous one. And I just wanted to just do a video a little bit on the 4th of July and the Revolutionary War and how it affected some of the tribes. So I see we got a few people in the building. We got 33 viewers. I'm gonna start right now because I got a couple articles pulled up, in which it might gonna take me a while. So just hold on, hold tight. Hopefully this will be a great build. Hopefully you guys understand. All right. So, all right. So it say Indians in the Revolutionary War, choosing a side. And say who fought in the Revolutionary War? Which side the Indians choose and why? For many Indians, in particular, the Shawnee Creek and the very large and powerful Cherokee and the Iroquois, the British seems to like a better bet. The British knew full well the Indians wanted to stem the tide of settlement. So when they say settlements, they talking about the settlers, the tides of the settlers, because the settlers come and taking the land. They say, and they promised the Indians if they won, the settlers would be stopped. They say, of course, they haven't been able to arrest the tide of settlements the entire time they have been in power, but it was easy for the British to blame the rowdy settlers and the rogue politicians, and by doing so, strike a chord of harmony with the Indians. Sometimes this loyalist leaning can be discerned and used as a hint relative to your genealogy research. Was your ancestor a loyalist? They say, if so, was he also recorded as being of color? They say in any records. Wow. They say any record. I ain't see that. That's interesting. They say if the answer is yes, especially twice, excuse me, they say then you might expect that his color was at least partially red. Now look, what people do they call colored people? Let's stop playing. It wasn't red. We know what red is. Red is brown, so let's stop. And red means root, and root means the root of the land, the tanchan. They say, but not all Indians fought for the British. Many Indians, in particular the coastal tribes, fought for the Americans. Why? The answer were often personal in nature. The tribes were the most involved with the people who would become Americans. They say they have lived amongst them for 100 years at this point, intermarried and formed communities and personal relationships with them. They say in many cases the Indians living amongst or near the white communities, the decision was a personal. Let me go back in chat, make sure y'all can hear me, make sure. Somebody in the chat, you get a chance, please press 1 and please come on in. I mean, let me know. Somebody press 1. Just let me know if y'all can hear me. All right, thanks, Copper Wolf. All right, let me get back with it. All right. All right, where was we at right here? All right, so right here, we was right here. It said that the Indians living near the white communities, the decision was a personal one. All right. It say, let me see something. All right, here I was right here. It say in at least one case, the tribe believed that the Americans were right. It say and the Indians were wrong. I mean, and England was wrong. Okay, I'm sorry about that. The St. John's Indian leader in Maine made the following statement in 1778, which shed some light on how at least some of the Indians was thinking. The chief sachem, the young man belonging to the river St. John's, had duly considered the nature of this great war between the American and the Old England. It say they are unanimously that America is right and Old English is wrong. The rivers on which you are with your soldiers belong from the most ancient time. Oh, fuck is this? The most ancient time to our ancestors. Consequently, is ours now. And say, and which we are bound to keep for our prosperity. It say, we are Americans. That is our native country. You know, the King of England with his evil counselors, it say, has been trying to take away the land and liberty of our country, but God and the King of heaven and our heaven, I don't know why the fuck they put that. It say our kings fought for us and says Americans shall be free. It is so now, in spite of an old England and his comrade can do. All right, so regardless of which side the native person took in this dispute, the war itself and the outcome would affect every person, every tribe, and all their descendants. As far as native people were concerned, there was no winners. Now we know why there was no winner. Let me see. Now, look, check this out. This was kind of. Let me see. Hold up. All right, I got this little article right here, but I'm going on. I'm gonna be building on some other stuff, so just give me a second. All right, so it said, what effect did the European settlements have on the American Indian? The European settlements had an overwhelming negative consequence for the American Indians, though the well, I'm gonna say American Aborigines. They say the American Aborigine tribes did occasionally from positive relations with the English settlement. Like they said, some of them was mixing. Permanent European settlements in America eventually led to disease, displacement. Aborigines had no immunity to the European illness, and their population was devastated by sometimes deliberate introduction of diseases like smallpox. Over time, most surviving tribes was forcibly relocated from their traditional land to make way for expanding European. So let's let this ponder again. Okay. Over time, most surviving tribes was forcibly relocated from their traditional land to make way for expanding European settlements. Okay. All right. So we talk about Standing Rock, but this is our ancestors, and look what happened. You know what I'm saying? And we talk about Standing Rock and how they ran. This is the same shit they was doing. I mean, same stuff they was doing to us. Okay. One more time. Over time, most surviving tribes was forcibly relocated from their traditional home lands to make way for expanding European settlement. So why the fuck would I move off my land for some damn devils who wasn't from this country? Why? Why would I have to make way off my land for some fucking freeloader Europeans that ain't here? All right. And that you self-explanatory. All right. Let's read a little bit more. All right. European settlers to the New World had a major and mostly negative effect on the indigenous population across North and South America. Whatever the motivation, those who settled in North America left their wake of legacy, poverty, domestic drugs, and alcohol abuse. Now, we know some people on the reservations suffer from alcohol, but who was the people on the reservation that suffer from drug abuse? Anybody had a crackhead uncle? Raise your hand. Or anybody knew any crackheads? Raise your hand. Okay. It says, and the impenetrable sense of helplessness among the Aborigine community. European settlement resulted in displacement of native tribes, the wholesale destruction of culture, and implemental of genocidal policies, and decimated the Aboriginal tribe. The deliberate contamination of native or Aborigine communities with disease alien to North America, like smallpox, wiped out large numbers of Aborigine Americans, affecting subsequently generations. The usurpation of the most productive glazing land and the expulsion of the native tribes from their historical territory onto the inhospitable reservations, sacred those communities for eternity. In short, the effect of the European settlements on the native or Aborigine Americans was profound and devastating. Hundreds of years, those settlements begin. The effects of the still no, the effects are still being felt in extraordinarily dysfunctional cultures that replace the ones that were destroyed. Okay. Now remember, you read the UNDRIP and the ADRIP, it gave you a right to go back and snatch your culture. So I suggest people start doing that. Okay, and when you definitely put your status on the record, make sure you put that in the UNDRIP. Okay, make sure you put the UNDRIP. I'm not gonna give y'all all the work. Read the UNDRIP, put you together a fucking affidavit of you could put an affidavit of declaration or affidavit of truth or affidavit of fact. You put in part of the UNDRIP in which say you can go back and get your culture, and they're responsible for they're responsible for helping you find your culture, being as though that they telling you that they stripped your culture from you. All right, so European settlements in the New World had a number of impacts on the Aborigine, mainly through settlements puts the Aborigines off their land. It led to them either dying from being forced onto reservation. When the Europeans first came to the New World, they had two main effects. First, they bought germs and then spread it. The germ man, that's why they call him the fucking germ man. They say that spread through Indian population, killing huge numbers of them. Now we know that's not true in all cases, but we know that that did happen in most cases. That's why they call them the germ man. Okay, the germs were killed. No, they say the germs even killed Indians who had never seen whites because they passed from Indian who has been in contact with other whites. Second, they bought new technologies and they bought horses. Now we know that's not true. They already had horses here, and we found evidence of horses being here for tens of thousands of years. These things changed. Aborigine Americans' way of life tremendously. For example, we think of the Plain Indians as horse people, but they, of course, had no horses until Europeans came to the Americas. As European settlement expanded, Indians were pushed further and further west. Some fought wars to try to prevent this and were killed. Some fought wars and try to prevent this. You go back and read what wars that took place. Those who was not killed, who was eventually put on reservations, typically on the land of the Americas, did not want. Okay, say in these ways, European settlements had a tremendous and often devastating effect on the Aborigines. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go down a little bit more. I'm gonna go with something else after I get done with this. European settlements was devastating for the native Aborigines from the time the first Europeans came. The American Indians could never have imagined how negative they would be affected by the Europeans. At first, the Europeans brought diseases to which the American Aborigine had no immunity. Thus, the many American Aborigines died from these diseases. As more Europeans, the Europeans eventually wanted more land. So how the fuck you gonna come from somewhere and take somebody fucking land, right? But these are the people who work next to you that say, hey, happy 4th of July. And then when you don't celebrate it, they look at you like, oh, because it don't mean shit to us. That when all these fucking holidays are in all these holidays, they celebrate kicking your ass. And it's fucked up. And they know this. And they know it. It says that as more Europeans came, the Europeans eventually wanted more land. How the fuck you gonna want something that's not yours? How you gonna come somewhere and take something from somebody that's not yours? How you gonna come take the land from the people who own the land and put them in the fucking basement or say, well, we're gonna put them over there? How do that happen? You understand what I'm saying? And you know, and karma's a bitch. Straight up. Karma's a bitch. The land belonged to the Aborigines. Thus, begin a long series of conflicts, of wars between the Aborigines and between the Europeans and the Aborigines. In most cases, the Aborigines lost their land to the European either through conflict or descent. Land was taken away from the Aborigines. Eventually, Aborigines way of life was destroyed. It's saying they were encouraged to assimilate into Europeans. Okay, now who assimilated into who assimilated? Do you see any of these mongoloids that don't know who they are? Now understand what I'm telling you. We know what the mongoloids look like, right? Do you see any mongoloids with just names? No. The people who look like Mongoloid, either they got Spanish names or they on these reservations. We talking about the people who assimilated that wasn't put on reservations, which are us. Now, don't never forget that. Don't never forget that. And never let the history tell you that. It's saying in later American way of life, over hundreds of years, the Aborigines were negatively impacted by the arrival of the Europeans to the America. The negative impact continued to this very day. Okay, they're killing you. They're telling you that you're not who you are. They're calling you Africans on your own fucking land. You got these same Europeans telling you to go somewhere. But look, look what it said right here. As more of these freeloaded bastards came, the more freeloaded Europeans wanted more land. This land belonged to the Aborigines. So all of these people are thieves. Sorry, they are. They are all thieves. How do you come somewhere and take something from the people who was there? Who the fuck gave you the right to do that? And to this very day, it's still happening. It said the negative impact continued to this very day. Okay? Now let's go into some other things, all right? I'm gonna touch on Dragon Canoe. And shout out to my brother, man. King Drop, man. Shout out to the brother, man. I was watching a beautiful video that he put up, and it definitely gave me some inspiration. Like I said, I don't really watch too many videos and get inspiration from it though, but I liked the Dragon Canoe story, man, and I definitely wanted to touch on it, and I definitely wanted to bring it to my platform or whatever. So definitely shout out to him. Like I said, when I do something out of inspiration of somebody else, I give them credit. I don't sit here and act like I'm holier than thou. I give the people credit. I let you guys know that I myself watch other people's videos. I myself get research from other people as well. Okay? But that's being a student of the game. We all sit here and study each other. So, like I said, shout out to brother King Drop, man. He do some beautiful work. I love his videos, man, and everything, right? All right, so let's go into this right here, right? Matter of fact, let's go into, no, I want to go into this right here. Let's go into this. All right, like I said, this is a heavyweight jam, so bear with me, y'all. All right, bear with me, please, people. This is a heavyweight joint. Let me open this up some more. All right. All right, so this is actually 3 parts or 4 parts, and we're going to deal with this, all right? All right, so Cherokee Indians, or Aniawanya, once occupied an area encompassing approximately 140 square miles that became part of the North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. The Cherokee thrived in North Carolina well into the late 18th century. Now we know this. Well, hold on. I'm gonna just touch more on it. They say, but as European American settlers steadily moved into and near the Cherokee land, sharp conflict arose between the Cherokee and white. Now, why do we see white Cherokees then? They clearly telling you that they had problems with the whites. So why the fuck we see John Ross, and Major Ridge? Why are they white? Because when they took over their land, they mixed into the fucking tribes. And then the ones that you see, the fucking freemen are the original Indians. But they're being told that they're Africans. You understand? So, okay, let's get into this. Okay, the Cherokee thrived in North Carolina, where most of our people from. Where are most of your people from? Into the late 18th century. But as European American settlers steadily moved into and near Cherokee land. See, now look, as these devils come into your fucking land, they want to move on the part where all the food is at. So what happens is they push you off the land part where the food is at, and therefore you are in the area where you probably either starving or you not used to that part to where there is not enough food for the people who was there. Now say sharp conflict arose between the Cherokees and whites and between the Cherokee themselves. Now look, between the Cherokee themselves. It say as the leaders complete and claim and say to speak for the tribe secured treaty and form other agreements. They say with the white settlers, they were not acknowledged by all Cherokee people. In 1838, 39, the United States government forcibly removed, we know this, the Trail of Tears, they say the Cherokee from their land in North Carolina, leading them into the infamous so-called Trail of Tears, the Indian Terror. And that's not all of them. We know that the majority of us stayed back. And all we did was basically we gave up and gets assimilated into these people culture. They say to the Indian Territory, all right? Let me go up. We already read this shit right here. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me read a little bit more. Say a number of the Cherokee people successfully resisted removal. However, by claiming the North Carolina citizen and by maintaining the right to remain on land they own. It say these people and their descendants was recognized in 1868 by the federal government of the Eastern Band of Cherokee. And that's after these devils then got into it. That's after these white people then got into it, controlled it, made sure that the original Aborigines, which are us, because look, like I said, in my documentary, Culture Freedom, the majority of people that I'm interviewing are Cherokees. And they don't look nothing like these fucking devils or nothing like these Mongoloids. So we know what they did. They assimilated into the culture. They picked and choose what Indians that they want to allow, because the Indians that was black, they said, no, that's an African. And that's even more of a reason to why these devils need to be fucking sued. You understand? Because they're telling you you're the original Indian, but they're telling you because you got African and you don't look the same. That's why you need the pictures of John Oberly and all these other images to show, oh, where are these Indians right here at? Because these don't look like them Indians. You see how that works? Okay? Now I say these people and their descendants was recognized in 1868 by the federal government of Eastern Band of Cherokee Indian. In the early 2000s, the Cherokee living on cooler boundaries in the western part of the state were the only Indian tribe in North Carolina fully recognized by the federal government. The tribe had more than 13,000 enrolled members. Now, more than 13,000 enrolled members, where they telling you that it says 140 square miles that became part of North Carolina, Tennessee, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. Where is our people from? Where is our people from? You don't see no Mongoloids walking around there unless they just got there. Okay, so let's keep it moving, man. All right, so part 2. I'm going to read this and we're going to get into Dragon Canoe. All right? We're going to read this. We're going to get right into Dragon Canoe. All right. The Cherokee members of the Iroquois language group, all right? The Iroquois language groups are the descendants from the Aborigines who occupy the southern occupation, I always get that. Y'all know what it is, the mountains. Between, in approximately 8,000 BC, by 1500 BC, a distinctive Cherokee language has developed. And by 1000 AD, the Cherokees was living in woodland lifestyle with the unique culture characteristics influenced by Mississippian religion tradition. The growing of and harvest of corn or sulu, beans, and squash. The Cherokee Three Sisters was ascribed deeply spiritual significance. Significant. It say as were other occupations, including hunting, the care of cleaning of homes, the gathering of essential foods, games, dance, religious ceremonies, the central philosophy of Dayakta. I can't pronounce that. It's a meaning the right way. Prescribed that the Cherokees attempted to obtain harmony and balance in every aspect of their lives, particularly with the respect to the natural world. Communal responsibility and sacrifice was essential to the Cherokee vision of life as symbolic. It's a by the central plaza used for public ceremonies and the council house or townhouses huh? Who live in townhouses now? Huh? I mean, I got townhouses in the hood. You know what I'm saying? That the housing authority own. It say which held the sacred fire embodying, sorry about that, embodying the spiritual essence of the town. Besides food and environment, it say provided all the people needed, included medicine, clothing, weapons, shelter, musical instruments, and personal adornments. The governing of Cherokee towns was through democratic consensus, as well as their leadership of priests, war chiefs, and peace chiefs. Of familial ties of clan affiliations came through Cherokee women who owned the houses and the fields and passed them on to their children, to their daughters rather. All right, and say although the initial contact took place during Herman DeSanto, which we already read about that fucking devil, expeditions in 1540 sustained relations between Europeans and the Cherokees were not established until the late 17th century by traders in Virginia and South Carolina. During the 17th century, Cherokees living in what became North Carolina was distributed amongst the middle towns along the Little Tennessee River, the valley towns along the Hiwassee and the Valley River, and the out town on the Tuskegee, and the Aconofiti River. It say as British and French colonists' aspiration began to clash, the Cherokee became increasingly more as a buffer and continued to alternate. It say alliances between the two nations. In 1730, Alexander Cummins took 7 Cherokees to England, reinforcing Cherokee alliance with the English. See? See? It said that has been established through the treaty at the town of Nagasee. It's increasing pressure of European expansion and subsequently loss of much of their territory. How you lose your territory? Oh, they took it. Oh, they brought more of these devils, these freeloaders over here. Like they bringing these immigrants over here. The people who allow the immigrants to come over here are other Europeans who not from this land, and they sitting here fighting. And the Indians, aka the African Americans, are fighting for other immigrants to come in too. Because understand this. When we had these territories, it just wasn't no people crossing over coming from Mexico into your territory. It wasn't happening like that. So if we would have seen them motherfucking Mexicans crossing over into our territory, it would have been war. They already knew not to come into our land. So when you see these people now fighting for these people to come here, I don't fight for none of them. I don't care about none of them being put. I done seen young kids, I done seen brothers, young 14, 12-year-old brothers who ain't grew up with a father, who've been placed in these detention centers, who've been treated like straight shit. I seen that coming up as a youth. So you sitting there, you want me to have some, you want me to have some sympathy or some empathy for somebody? I only have empathy for my people, which is the Aborigines, who've been classified as African Americans. So I'm not with none of that. Oh, them are my brothers. They're not my brothers. You don't have coil hair. I mean, with the exception to the brothers who do agree to be our brothers. There are brothers who got Spanish features who are your brothers. Don't get that fucked up. But what I'm saying to people is now, for people to be hopping the gate, coming to this land, when we was mighty, that wasn't happening. People just was not coming here like that. Okay, so They say lost most of their territory. How did you lose your territory? Oh, the Europeans took it. They kept coming. They wouldn't respect your boundaries, and therefore they took your land. It said led to a initial hostility as the French and Indian War, 1754-63. They say progress. Virginians' hostility towards the Cherokee led the Cherokee War 1760-61. It's a war in which the tribe suffered extensive losses. Okay, let's read part 3, which we kind of touched on, but we're going to get on. We're going to keep it moving, and I'm going to touch on my man Dragon Canoe, all right? Well, we already then kind of touched on this, though, about, now check this out. Look, smallpox and other diseases brought the Europeans and enslaved Indians, not no fucking Africans, other enslaved Indians. Let's get this shit correct, y'all. Let's get it correct. When they tell you enslaved Africans, they're talking about other so-called Indians. Okay, so don't let them pull the rabbits over your eye. They say were more devastating to the Cherokee. The other southern eastern Indians or Aborigines then war. It's saying since the Indians did not have an immune system, which we just kind of touched on, but we don't believe that, hopefully, because all the herbs to cleanse your body are here. Okay, it says the Europeans had built up after centuries of contact with these diseases. Simple contact could set off an epidemic. Now you see, these people are fucking walking diseases. That's why you got to get all these vaccinations, because living around them is fucking, they are walking fucking these Germans. They are walking Germans. Okay. So, all right. So it say, all right. So the Cherokee people were exposed to smallpox. Didn't everybody have chicken pox growing up? They say for a period spanning over 3 centuries. Probably their first exposure was in 1698 when the smallpox epidemic decreased their population measurably. They say in 1730. Now remember, they you know what? They did increase the population. That's the reason why when you see on the census, you only see 8 million people. It should be more like 60 or 70 million people. But that has to be examined too, because like me and Chief Holiday, we want to know, where's the bodies? What did they do with these bodies? You understand? I mean, and like I said, that got some room for speculation as well. All right, 1738 through 39, the tribe experienced its worst epidemic from smallpox. They say when the disease was bought by traders, they say, or was brought back from the expedition in which the Cherokee aided the British against the Spanish in Florida, between 7,000 and 10,000 Cherokees died, representing about 1/2 of the tribe, which is bullshit. It was millions of us. They say since medicine men were unable to provide a cure, the Cherokees tried a traditional method of purification. Sweat houses follow a plunging into icy streams. It say this practice only aided to number who died. It say other who survived the disease was horribly stricken and disfigured. It say and killed themselves rather than live in disgrace. Okay. They say, in addition to the population loss in 1739, the epidemic had other consequences for the Cherokee towns where relocated Cherokee distrust the Indians increased. The French gained a foothold among the tribe. The epidemic also brought the deterioration of the Cherokee culture by challenging religion's belief, almost destroying the medicine men perceived power. Smallpox struck the Cherokee people again in 1759-60 during the French and Indian War. Although the Cherokees first made land cessions to the Europeans in 1721 and 1755, the British victory in the French and Indian War in 1763 ended the need for the tribe as a buffer and brought increasingly pressure of the colonial expansion. Although the proclamation line of 1763 officially prohibited white settlers from entering Indian territory, while encroachment on Cherokee lands continued after the establishment of the line. They say that the years of 1768, 1770, 1773, and 1775 saw a series of voluntary land cessions made by the Cherokees in 1775, cessions led by land speculations of Judge Richard Henderson involved most of the upper half of Cherokee hunting ground and included most of what is modern day Kentucky. During this period, the Cherokee people conceded almost 50 square miles of land. Okay. All right, let's get on to the Revolutionary War. And this going to lead us into Dragon Canoe. All right. I'm sorry. Let me get back. All right. Let me make sure y'all still good in the chat room. All right, y'all still good in the chat room? Let me know. Y'all still good? Y'all still can peace. I got you. I'll send you a link in a minute. AP probably. And we gonna do the what's the name when we done with this. All right. Y'all still can hear me. Holito to everybody. All right. Y'all good? Y'all can hear me? No doubt. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. Appreciate y'all as usual. You know how I love y'all, man. And like I said, man, you know, this thing right here, when you learn this history, this shit is definitely stressful. And you know what I'm saying? And you see how these people lie. And every time I see these Europeans or whatever, I'm not saying like, I have friends, Europeans and everything, but a lot of them don't know the history. A lot of them don't know this is their history. Your history is coming here, passing on diseases and taking people land. And then you come here and then you still call police on the Indians. You still get the Indians murdered. And like I said, man, that's why you got to claim who you are, man. Let these people know who you are. Never be scared of that. Okay? Now, these are the bastards that they tell you. And the fucked up part is how they sit here and lie and tell you what the people in Carolina look like. What did Verrazano say the people of Carolina look like? He said they are rustic. So why would they put people who got the same complexion of the British in the picture? But we know there's a picture with the Revolutionary War when you got the so-called Yamasee and the Aborigines fighting, and they got like some type of I'm gonna see if I can get the image for y'all, all right? But we already know. Stop lying to us, giving us these images. Because the more you give us these images, the more you trying to hide, and the more, like I said, the most hideous thing is the conspiracy to hide the truth. Verrazano said the people in Carolina looked like Saracens. They had the color of rustic. Rustic is dark brown. These were Negroes. Okay? Let's stop this fucking bullshit. They couldn't have been Europeans. So stop lying to us. Okay? Okay, when the Revolutionary War erupted in 1775, John Swallow, a British superintendent of the land, planned to use Indian tribes in conjunction with English troops against the colonists, while white encroachers at Tennessee, North Carolina border along the Watauga and the Nolichucky and the Holston rivers, as well as a delegation of Shawnee and other northern Indians, urged the Cherokee to fight against the Americans. Okay, it says, as well as delegations of Shawnee and other northern Indians, urging the Cherokees to fight against the Americans. When they say the Americans, they're talking about the Europeans. Inspired their decision to aid the British. The Upper Cherokee planned a three-pronged attack on the invaders. They say along the North Carolina and Virginia frontier. The Cherokee middle towns were to attack North Carolina, while the lower towns were to attack South Carolina and Georgia. The lower and middle settlements met with the limited success in reaction to these attacks. General Charles Lee, commander of the Southern Continental Force, urged a joint punitive expedition known as the Cherokee Campaign of 1776 under Colonel Andrew Williamson. South Carolina troops moved against the lower towns and then traveled northwest to join the North Carolina forces under General Griffin Rutherford. And understand this too, right? All these towns named after these fucking devils. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I said they celebrate their people. They celebrate these people. And then they got you celebrating them. I don't know how many people told me happy 4th of July. I'm Chickamauga Cherokee. I don't celebrate that shit. Okay? I don't celebrate it. Okay? I don't celebrate it. And I tell a person at work quick because they don't know the history. Your people came here freeloaded, killed a lot of my people, and therefore now, because of assimilation of your culture, now you made a fucking holiday, and I'm forced to celebrate the shit. And if I don't celebrate it, people look at you sideways. Devastating the middle and valley towns. Virginia troops under Colonel William Christensen crushed the overhill towns in present-day Tennessee. More than 50 Cherokee towns were destroyed. More than 50 Cherokee towns were destroyed in the summer of 1776, and the survivors was left without food and shelter. These attacks devastated the Cherokee people who sued for peace, giving up a huge parcel of the land in process. The treaty signed after the Cherokee campaign in 1776 marked the first forced land cession. By the Cherokee, and for the first time, the land ceded was not unsettled hunting grounds, but the sites of some of the tribe's oldest town in which the Cherokee people had lived for centuries. The Cherokee campaign of 1776 also caused a skirmish between the old chiefs and the young warriors. This is when we're going to get into the brother dragon canoe, okay? Many of the later withdrew to Tennessee, northern Alabama, where they became known as the Chickamauga Cherokees, who continued to fight the white Americans until 1794, okay? They say, wow, the American Revolution brought independence to white North Carolinians. They say the region Indians, including the Cherokee, were a conquered people. That's why these bastards that's why you see motherfuckers like Major Ridge and John Ross and all these other devils that's European. Simply no European head of no chief. It's nothing. That shit should be against the fucking law. And people who got any fucking common sense to say, no, you're not a chief. You're not a chief. We don't respect you. You're not a fucking chief of no tribe. They've been put there by the federal powers that be. Okay? All right. Nevertheless, Cherokees managed to maintain a semblance of political independence and cultural integrity. Despite military defeat with the Treaty of Houston in 1791, the United States initiated a civilized program aimed at assimilating the Cherokee people into mainstream of American society. Now, the other ones that maintained to be Cherokees were sent on that Trail of Tears. That's why most of us say we have Cherokee in us. Now, we got other tribes. Everybody's not Cherokee. Okay, I know that. But what I'm trying to tell you is most of the people, when I'm interviewing for this documentary called Culture Freedom, most of the people I interview are Cherokee. And they don't even know. Oh, my grandmother was real light and she had long hair. Your grandmother mixed in with us. She's not a fucking Indian. You the Indian. The dumbass motherfucker. And that's the shit that just had me shaking my head, yo. If it was no white people here, if Verrazano in the 1500s are telling you that the fucking people in the Carolina was rustic, look up color rustic. The color rustic is the same color as a penny. Okay, let's keep it moving, man. Say Cherokee people into mainstream American society to a great extent. This meant the adoption of sedentary agriculture, consequently, with Indians living by means of farming. Who was farming in the South? Who was the best farmers in the South? Hmm? Who was the best farmers coming into the 1900s? They took that shit too. The European is a fucking thief. A thief. And like I said, man, karma's a bitch, man. You understand what I'm saying? All right. They say means by farming. Their huge hunting grounds would no longer be needed, and whites could easily acquire more Cherokee land. The Tellico Treaty was signed in 1798 as a result of the movement of the settlers into Cherokee territory, into western North Carolina, west of the 1791 Houston Treaty lines, and Tellico Treaty specified that a line called the Mig Freeman line, okay, was to be drawn from the Great Iron of Smoky Mountain in the southeasterly direct, so as to exclude settlers from the Cherokee territory. It's a War Department agent. Let me move. War Department agent return John Mig supervised the running and the Thomas Freeman and surveying of the line of the from July through October 1802. They were assisted by Cherokee leaders in settlement. The line ran from the peak of Mount Collins, located between Klingsman Dome and Newfound Gap. It say to a point on the North Carolina South Carolina border near the southern west corner of Transylvania County. Interesting. Transylvania County. Okay. They say with their newly established boundaries, the Cherokees took the lead in adopting the Euro-American ways. In the early 19th century, establishing school and the bicentennial, I guess that's how you say it. It's a tribal legislation. In the 1820, the Cherokee Sequania invented a Sybilberry, sorry about that. It say that enabled his people to read and write in their own language, and a bilingual newspaper, the Cherokee Phoenix, soon began publication. Cherokee men and Cherokee women took up farming. Check this out. Now, if they're not telling you the fucking truth in this, then you guys don't fucking get it. Read it again. I'm gonna go back over. Cherokee men and Cherokee women took up farming and cotton. Now, this is look. What year is this? This is 1820. Okay, this is 1820. Cherokee women and farming farming of cotton, flax, and livestock. Okay, that's us, bro. That's us. Okay, that's us. They say and engaged widely in trades with white. Some Cherokees even built columns, plantation houses, and bought slaves. That was the white devils who took your land and started purchasing their own people. Historians have referred to this period as the recovery of the Cherokee Renaissance. Okay, despite the success of this period, which saw Cherokee willingly embrace white culture, seeds were also planted for new and even greater crisis for Cherokee people in attempt to save land, it say that has been lost after the Creek War of 1813. The Cherokee has signed two more treaties, 1870 and 1890. The 1870 treaty was the first Cherokee treaty that included the provision for their removal from the North Carolina land. The treaty proposed to engage in exchanging Cherokee land in the southeast for territorial west of Mississippi River. The government promised assistance in resettling those Cherokees who chose to remove. It say, and approximately 1,500 to 2,000 D. It say the Treaty of 1817 also contained the proposal for the experiment in the Cherokee citizenship. Cherokees who wish to remain on ceded land in the East could apply for a 640-acre reserve, it say, and legal rights as American citizens. That's your ancestors, y'all. Okay. It say 1819, the remaining Cherokee who has opposed. Okay, let's read this again. The remaining Cherokees who has opposed negotiated still another treaty during the period from 1780 till 1819. The Cherokee people has lost an additional 69% of their remaining land. Who they lost it to? Oh, these freeloading Europeans that came here. That's who they lost it to. The same ones that tell you to go back to Africa when they are on your land. Although the tribe ceded almost 4 million acres by the 1819 treaty, they hope that this additional cession will end any formal removal effort. In fact, the Cherokee National Council agreed that they would not enter into more negotiations involving the giving up of even 1 foot of land. The continuously westward movement of North Carolina settlers usually brought whites into conflict with Aborigines. However, especially those on whose land gold was discovered. 1828, the whites was reaching into land that treaty supposedly had guaranteed to the treaty. See how bro. See, now we don't know who these people are, but we know that they white. So you sit here and you sit here and fucking cape for people who had something to do with your land. So do you know the Europeans that's down in fucking Carolina right now? We know that they ain't supposed to be there. They are on stolen grounds. Okay? Say these white were reaching into the land that the treaty. So they made treaties to protect them, and they wasn't protecting them. That's why Andrew Jackson and them made the people leave. Because they said that if you didn't assimilate into the society, you had to go. So most of our people assimilated like fucking cowards and assimilated into the society, said, fuck it, this will be a little bit more easier, and just assimilated and said that they was American citizens, okay? All right. It says, yet, instead of enforcing the treaties, the United States, with President the Devil Andrew Jackson, which I should rip every $20 bill up that I get from here on out, leading the way, decided to relocate the Cherokee people. Okay. Now I just touched on the video with Andrew Jackson, showing you that most of these devils that's on money are fucking devils. They took the land from the people, and they all had something to do with the land taken from the Aborigines. All right. So, like I said, shout out to Andrew Jackson, you fucking dead fucker. You understand? Fucking bastard. All right. Now let's get into the Dragon Canoe, man. Let me see. Do I want to read this one? All right. This font, let me see. All right. Yeah, fuck it. Let's do this one, man. All right. I hate this font, though, y'all. I hate this fucking font. All right, let's get with this, man. And like I said, shout out to the Brother King Drop. I watched the Brother King Drop video. I do watch other people videos. I do get information from these brothers, and check it out. King Drop has a wonderful video on Dragon Canoe. I suggest y'all go and check it out when you get a chance. Okay, so Dragon Canoe, often called Tukansi of the South, was one of the Cherokee's most devoted chiefs. He angrily opposed to the term of the deal in which Cherokee Nation signed away their valuable land to whites. Okay, now you see how cowardly these bastards was. They signed their lands over to people who ain't from the land. How the fuck do you give up your shit to people who ain't from here? Okay, how? They say, and received very little in return. He broke away from the Cherokees in 1776, forming an aggressive wing of the tribe known as the Chickamauga Cherokees. Dragon, and that's what I'm in for now on, Chickamauga Cherokee. I would not respect any of these Cherokees from this point on. Dragon Canoe strongly recommended that the patriotic Cherokees to join in parting of the tribe. After this episode, they settled at various places along the mainstream south, known as the Chickamauga Creek. It was there approximately to call themselves Chickamaugians. Dragon Canoe was son of famous narrator Chief Atonka Kula. Dragon Canoe chose for his headquarters a site on an ancient creek village on the Chickamauga near present-day northeast Chickamauga, Tennessee. Many well-known chiefs joined him. Chief Astanaka among them, and old Indians had fought side by side with George Washington on the Virginia frontier and knew I'm sorry, my bad. It said, all right, my bad. Let me get myself back together. Somebody just came in the house. Though. All right. It said he knew not only the first president, but also the likes of Thomas Jefferson and Patrick Henry. Dragon Canoe, the brother of Chief Little Owl, also traveled with him and settled on the Chickamauga less than 2 miles upstream. The first celebration of the Independence Day, July 4th of 1776, took place at Fort Patrick Henry. Sorry, y'all. Hey, hold tight for a minute. Let me go grab some water real quick. Hold up. All right, y'all. All right, where was I at? Okay. All right. The first celebration of Independence Day, July 4th, 1776, took place at Fort Patrick Henry, where Kingsport, Tennessee now stands. Sometime previous to that date, the white invited the Cherokees to a meeting of the two forces. The white men's main objection was to win the Cherokees from the side of the British, totally ignoring the meeting called Dragon Canoe on the 4th of July, remained at home in the Chickamauga town puffing his trusty pipe. Who puffed their trusty pipe? The Aborigines, okay? But they show him as some fucking mongoloid or some mulatto or some fucking, you know how it go. The American representatives had invited the Cherokees, who were presented and who were still allies of the British, to join in the celebration. The Cherokee were totally ignorant concerning the American Declaration of Independence and had no idea what the celebration was all about. During the reading of the manuscript, the tribe listened and joined with whites, not knowing what was going on, dancing, marveling with them. However, in just a few days, they again returned to the British and resumed their mutual warfare against the Americans. So they was warring against the Americans. See? Okay? Okay? Okay. After a few years before Dragon Canoe chose Chickamauga as his headquarters, a Scottish trader by the name of John McDonald was appointed assistant superintendent of the British concern in the South. McDonald's place of residence soon became a prominent meeting for Tories and Cherokees. Henry Hamilton of Detroit, Michigan, and governor of Northwest Territory had supplied McDonald's site with thousands of dollars worth of supplies for the Indians' use in their warfare against the whites. Most of these supplies had been bought by horseback from Pensacola, Florida. Okay, Pensacola. Some people say Pensacola, but Pensacola, Florida. Okay. Everything seemed satisfactory. Satisfactory. They say with McDonald's and Dragon Canoe. They say until one spring morning in 1779, when a multitude of soldiers numbering about 600 men in the command of Colonel Evans Shelby and John Montgomery flooded down the Tennessee River from Fort Patrick Henry. Upon reaching the mouth of Chickamauga Creek, the party captured the fisherman and had made him lead the whites to Dragon Canoe, center of operations. Say several miles. Oh my bad, y'all. Several miles upstream. Okay. The party of whites caught the Indians by surprise and brought their villages to the ground. At the time, Dragon Canoe was away from home, so the whites had a little difficult in defeating the remaining Cherokees. A detailed report of combat was made by Thomas Devil Jefferson and sent directly to General Washington, another devil. The report stated that Shelby men captured 2,000 bushels of grains, also goods to the value of 2,000 pounds. See, that's all these people do. And they bring these immigrants here to steal more shit. Now the immigrants move into your neighborhood and push you out. And they give these fucking immigrants more money to set up shop when they don't give you nothing. And they're on your land and they owe you everything. Everything that, like I said, let me get stopped for a minute, okay? Like I said, if the light bulb was invented by, ain't no Thomas Edison invent no fucking light bulb. All he did was wait until Lewis Latimer made the light bulb, and he fucking stole the idea and probably gave him trinkets on what it was really worth. While these devils take that same invention, send it around the world, and get money. Like I said, every invention, 90% of the inventions that these Europeans that go around the world was invented by your people. You understand? On their own land, okay? So it said about 25,000 pounds, about 75,000 pounds in today money. McDonald took a serious monetary loss along with 100 heads of cattle and 150 horses. The whites sank their paragar. They say type of canoe. They say the American officers bought the stolen horses and rode back to their homes. Shelby. They say men move on up the Chickamauga and destroy Little Owl villages. Dragon Canoe and his trusty followers was not discouraged at the destruction of the town. The village was rebuilt. 1782. 3 years later, John Sevier entered with his mounted troops and destroyed the Chickamauga town and the other Chickamauga villages along the Little Owl village. 14 years later, the John Sevier was elected the first governor of Tennessee. After the devastation of his village, Dragon Canoe moved south of the present Chattanooga. They say where he formed what later became the 5 lower town of the Cherokee. Dragon Canoe was struggling to regain some of the valuables lost. Some of the valuable land the Cherokees had lost. Joining his band was many persons of mixed blood, some cutthroat robbers and murderers, all of which took advantage of the situation and joined the Chickamaugians for many years afterward. These thieves attacked and robbed the early immigrants, okay, as they descended the Tennessee and flatboats, looking for home sites and improving situations in other parts of the county. It say history states that the headquarters of the most energetic group of these misfits was at Nickajack. Nickajack. And say a few miles down the river from Chattanooga. The atrocities of these villains were basically blamed on Dragon Canoe, for which he was not responsible. Dragon Canoe died in March 1792. They say at Running Water, where he was buried. The village was near the present Hell Bar. It say below Chattanooga Running Water, the mountain stream which continued to bear its old name. Chief Black Fox said that the Dragon Canoe has left the world. It say he was a man of great consequences from his country. He was friends both to his own and the white people. Yeah, all right, we don't believe, because he's saying that he opposed the Americans. All right. Dragon Canoe was a cousin of Nancy Ward. They say the beloved Cherokee woman was highly respected by the whites. And that's the thing, man. When you see these white people in these tribes, man, so how are you claiming the people who you took the land from, you fucking devils? And that's the shit that get me heated. Because, yo, ain't no white person supposed to be no Indian. This is some pseudo shit. How you a pseudo? You ain't no Indian. You descendants of the people who took the Aborigines lands. And then you was trying to assimilate amongst them and had them re-assimilate amongst you. Okay? Okay? After the Cherokees had struggled courageously to hold their lands and homes in the South, the greedy white succeeded at last and outing them. Their doom was sealed in 1838 when the last of the 14,000 Cherokees, now they said less than that, 14,000 Cherokees removed west. They say a few thousand of them took off by boats from Chattanooga. Others went in wagons on foot across the land. 4,000 of them died on the long journey. They say a few hundred Cherokee managed to escape to the mountains of western North Carolina, preferably death by starvation rather than be forced to abandon their own land and say they love so well. Today we have within a few hours drive of Chattanooga, the Cherokee Indian Reservation of Western North Carolina. As a result of those Indians who escaped, the Cherokees are now citizens of the United States, as they furnish many a brave soldiers in both world wars. Now, we know we've been assimilated into the society. Okay, let me read the other article, man. Let's get with that. All right. Boom. Dragon Canoe. All right. We're going to read this one. All right. This say, I can't pronounce what his real name is, but it say Tunkunsu. That was the one I just read. It say he is Dragon Canoe, known to whites as Dragon Canoe, 1730, March 1st to 1792. It said was a Cherokee war chief who led a band of Cherokees against the colonists and the United States settlers. So against the colonists and the United States settlers, okay? Beginning during the American Revolutionary, okay? His forces were sometimes joined by Upper Muskogee, Chickasaw, Shawnee, and Indians from other tribes and nations. Along the British loyalists, French and Spanish agents, the series of conflict lasting for a decade after the American Revolutionary War were known as the Chickamauga War. Dragon Canoe became a preeminent war leader amongst the Indians of the Southeast at his time. Hey, yo, and AP Power, if you in the chat room, get in contact with Jaguar Omex. Soon as I get done with this, We're gonna go right into the what's the name. I'm gonna end this live stream and I'm gonna start another live stream, and we're gonna do part 2 of the encyclopedia for the Native Americans. All right. So as soon as I get done with this, we're gonna go right into that. I'm gonna cut this video off and then we're gonna jump right into it. All right. All right, so these series of conflicts lasting for a decade after the American Revolutionary War. We know what happened after the American Revolutionary War. That's when the 4th of July, when they celebrated, all right? So it's were known as the Chickamauga War. Dragon Canoe became a preeminent war leader among the Aborigines of Southeast at his time. He served as a principal chief of the Lower Cherokee from 1770, or remember Aniyanwanya, from 1777 until his death in 1792, when he was succeeded by Prick John Watts, probably a fucking European, somebody who took over and mixed into the thing. They say he was a son of Atakala. Now this looked like an Arabic name, y'all. Okay, this is like an Arabic name. They say Atakakula Kula. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Little carpenter in English. Who was born. How do you translate this to little carpenter? Okay, unless they stole English, and we know they got English from the Iroquois language or some of this Algonquin language that was here. Okay, it says who was born to a Nipsing and captured and adopted as an infant by the Cherokees, making him one of the tribes. His mother was Neon Oli. It's a born of Nassachet. Okay, not Nassachet. Now I got an article which I'm gonna be touching on the Nassachet or whatever. The Nassachet was the people that was dealing with this right here. Hold up. I'm gonna be touching on this too. Let me see. All right, look. See this? See this? These are the Nassachet right here. See that? And when you hear basically the Devil's Punch Bowl, that's the people who was involved in it. All right. So we're gonna read a little bit. Now, matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna touch on this alone. I'm gonna do another video on this, but let me get back to what I was reading so we can conclude with this video. Like I said, we're gonna go right into the other video. All right. All right. So where was I at? All right. It says born to the Nassachet and adopted as a captured by Ankanasota household. Okay, I guess that's how you pronounce it. And say they live with the Overhill Cherokees on the Little Tennessee River. Dragon Canoe survived smallpox at a young age, and say which left his face marked. It says, according to the Cherokee legend, his name is derived an incident in early childhood. He tried to prove the readiness for war by carrying a canoe, but he could not. That's funny, man. All right. War chief of the Cherokee. Dragon Canoe first took part in the battle during the Anglo-Cherokee War, 1759-1761. It say in the aftermath, he was recognized as one of the strongest opponents to encroachment by the settlers. Let's say from the British colonies onto the American Aborigines, especially Cherokee land. Eventually, he became the chief of Great Island Town. It's saying, all right, I can't pronounce that language right here. I guess I say Amoyuli, Iwa in Cherokee. It say written in my Malaco by the British. It say on Little Tennessee River. It say when the Cherokee outed to join in the fighting of the American Revolution on the side of the British, Dragon Canoe was the head of one of the major attacks after the colonial militia destroyed the Cherokee Middle Hill. Now militias, the KKK. That's why they don't fuck with these militias to today, because they was formed out of this shit. Valleys and little towns. His father, Ankonasata, wanted to sue for peace, refusing to give up, Dragon Canoe led a band of his overhill Cherokees out of town. Okay, they migrated in the area surrounding Chattanooga River, South Chattanooga Creek, in the present day Chattanooga area, where they established 11 towns in 1777, including the one later referred to as Old Chattanooga Town. It was across the river from where John McDonald had a trading post. From their location, they were called the Chickamauga and the Frontiermen. It say who later called them the Lower Cherokee. In 1782, their town were destroyed again. The band moved further down the Tennessee River, establishing the 5 lower town below the obstruction of the Tennessee River, George running water. It's a now Whiteside, Nickajack near the cave of the same name, Long Island on the Tennessee River, Crowtown on the mouth Crow Creek, and Lookout Mountain Town at the site of the current Trenton, Georgia. They say from his base at Running Water, Dragon Canoe led an attack on white settlements. Okay, they say all over the American Southeast. Okay, especially against the colonists on the Houston and Watauga and Nolichucky River. The East Tennessee, he also attacked the Cumberland River settlements in the Middle Tennessee after 1780 and raided into Kentucky and Virginia as well. His brother Little Al, the Badger and Turtle at the home fought with his forces. Okay. All right, Death. Dragon Canoe died March. We already know he died, say, from exhaustion on a permanent heart attack after dancing all night celebrating the recent conclusion of alliance with the Muskegee and the Chickasaw and say he did not succeed in reaching such an agreement with the Chickasaw. They were also celebrating a recent victory of the Chickamauga War Band on the Cumberland River settlement. Legacy. He is considered by many to be the most significant Aborigine leader of the Southeast. Some historians consider him a role model for younger Tecumseh, who was a member of the band of Shawnee, living with the Chickamauga Lower Cherokee at taking part in their wars. It's saying he picked John Walsh, also known as Young Tassel, as his successor as war chief. All right, these are some of your references right here. Pretty good article, man. And it pretty much tell you, man. The 4th was basically the 4th of July was started after most of the people lost. After they took the land and they lost, that's when they had these celebrations. So tonight when they be shooting them fireworks, you already know what it is, bro. That's a celebration of them taking the land. So, you know what I'm saying? Definitely shout out to all the Aborigines in the chat. Peace to all the brothers in the chat room. Appreciate y'all. Polito, to all the people in the chat room. We got 111 people watching. What we got? Let me see what we got in here just to give y'all some shout outs. Killer White Supremacies and Coon, my nigga, Chad Murdoch, say Lex Unbreakable, video mix it. That shit moving fast as hell. Spooks. Hold up, man. Hold up. Y'all too hot for TV, man. Y'all too hot for TV. Man, I'm moving faster than my eyes can see, man. Ashley D, Jolito, Alicia Aboriginal, American Aboriginal, Jolito. Once again, my brother Chad Murdoch, Star Strike, Seeker of the Truth. What's up, my sister? How you been? Ghost, Holliston, peace. Ra 777, peace. Brooklyn lady, yeah, Brooklyn lady. Pan Africans, please exit. Adios, Pan Africans. Adios. Well, you know what? They're here to be fucking edified too. It's saying rack that dude. Peace. Um, let me see who else we got. No sellout, peace. Copper Gang TV, peace. Cherokee Pride, peace. My sister Laney, peace, my sister. Lady T, peace. Let me see. We got ATF, peace, my brother. Let me see who else we got. I said Ashley Thing, Chad Murdoch, Durant. I'm just reading through. Some of y'all might be opposing my information. Jazzy Peace. Indigenous, aka American Indian Hachucha. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Y'all gotta help me with some of this shit, man. Copper Wolf, MJ Jones. What's that? Samson Lacti, peace. Video mixes, peace. What's that? Kalia Miller, peace. Nahu Ate, peace. Yeah, man. You know what, bro? I know y'all probably a lot of people hot over that immigration thing, but like I said, if we were still tribed up, wouldn't people just be moving? That's why the Mongoloids wasn't encroaching on our land, because they already knew what time it was. Okay, Kawa Al, peace. Let me see what else we got in here. Said Ghost. All right, y'all. Yo, we gonna do another live stream right now. I'm about to call the brother AP Power. Send him the link. Just get in touch with the brother Jaguar Omek. So we're gonna go back into the American Encyclopedia of the Aborigine contribution. Okay. All right. So with that being said, I'm about to end this live stream. I'm gonna go right into the other live stream. All right, just give me a couple of seconds, and I will be right back. All right. Shout out to all the people who came through. Appreciate you. Remember what 4th of July and how it relates to the Aborigines. You know what I'm saying? Definitely. You know, there's more research on this. There's also other articles that tell you, but I just wanted to just give you an outline of what was this shit all about. Okay. Europeans coming and coaching in your land and taking your land and then making you assimilate into their culture. So with that being said, peace, love and light to the Aborigines, peace and love and light to the Aborigines, and I'll be back.